Hey, Mark.
Hey Chad.
How's it going, buddy?
It's going okay. We're here on another lovely. It looks a little
Why are
overcast
you
out
looking
there.
out the window?
I was seeing how the weather was. I was going to describe the day.
It's kind of warm.
It got back
I
up to
don't think it's
90.
overcast even remotely.
Well, my little
It was hazy. I just got back from a hike.
hazy. There.
Hazy.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. It's
Yeah.
hazy out there.
Yeah. So, how you been this week?
Good. I saw Blade Runner 2049.
Did you like it?
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up? Way up?
All of my thumbs are up.
Didn't bother you that it was almost 3 hours long?
It didn't bother me, but at one point I did kind of sneak a peek at my phone in the theater and go, "Oh, there's still
You
another hour left of this
Brought out
movie."
your phone in a movie?
It was fine.
You
No one was around.
savage.
I saw it on a weeknight
You
after
realize
work.
we live in a civilized society.
No, we don't. This is L.A.
It's true. It's a war zone.
Yeah, loved it. It's not perfect. The original wasn't perfect either, but it's
Yeah.
still my favorite movie. Um,
The original was
There-
flawed as all hell.
Fuck yeah.
Like,
There's a lot to unpack in Blade Runner 2049.
mm-hmm.
I think I've got to see it again a few times.
well, maybe that'll be our podcast next week.
Maybe.
Maybe we'll
That'd
maybe
be
we'll try something new and we'll go see a live one.
Ooh.
Mm.
But yeah, I would say if we're gonna have a bigger conversation, the only thing I'll say about it now is that it is more of a straightforward story than the original movie.
Mhm.
It
Oh,
has
for sure, yeah.
it has more like action set pieces
Right.
and
A
but they're-
mainstream modern day audience may actually be able to get through it,
right.
even though it's an hour longer.
Yeah, the original is an hour and
It's only like an hour and a half. Isn't
no, it's like an hour and 50, I think.
it? Okay.
So it's almost 2 hours. But this is 2 hours and 43 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not intolerable
See,
because it's so good.
People say
but
that.
it's
I don't
long.
know. I've always had this argument, and it always frustrates me when people say movies are too long. Because to me, if the movie's enjoyable and you like it,
That's
why
as
do you
long-
not want to spend more time in that world?
Uh-huh,
Because that's the whole point. You're watching a movie for escapism, essentially.
sure. But when I was watching the movie, I could think of a few things that, I don't know, if I was writing the thing.
Right. Well, that's a whole
Would-
other thing. Maybe
yeah.
if we do that podcast, we can talk about.
Right. I'll actually write some things down and try to
Yeah.
remember them.
Anyway, it's your choice this week. What are we watching?
We are watching I think our very first Nicolas Cage movie.
Woo!
And
Are
I think
I feel like we've seen another one. Maybe not.
I don't think we have. And this is kind of surprising that we haven't already.
Yeah, considering you're like the Nicolas Cage champion.
Yeah, I have not seen all of his movies now because so many more
Right.
have come out after I did this
Only
thing.
like 40 movies since you cut that video.
Yeah.
So
I'm-
I'll tell the story since
Fine, go ahead. I think I've
I'll
told it
brag
before.
on your behalf.
Okay.
So Mark cut together basically a super edit,
Mhm.
as they call them.
Supercut.
A supercut of every single time Nicolas Cage laughs in a movie. Is that fair? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
that's accurate. Not including animated films because I feel like that's
Yeah, it doesn't really count.
doesn't count
Uh,
because I say so.
and that was what 2014
Yeah,
when that came out.
yeah. So
So
I saw.
you've
I
got,
watched
like-
every movie up until that point when I finally posted it. Which the last one was a movie called
like-
Rage.
Wasn't it Bad Lieutenant or whatever?
No,
Okay, I haven't even heard of that one.
Rage.
I feel like
Yeah, it was like one of his many
Nicolas Cage
direct-to-video
has made
things.
like 40 movies since 2014, and I haven't heard of a single one of them.
Yeah, I've got.
What
I'm
on
still
earth
keeping
is he doing these days?
right. Oh, one of the things he's shooting right now, I think, is a horror movie with the director of Beyond the Black Rainbow,
Okay.
Nick Cage, and that guy with the weird Greek name
Wow.
are making a movie together.
And that's another movie I want to eventually for listeners of the podcast. Go find a movie called Beyond the Black Rainbow.
It was on Netflix for a time. I think it's gone now, but you never know.
You won't necessarily thank me.
But you won't see anything else like it.
You won't see anything else like it, and it's like super low budget, but it's just weird, and the design and concept stuff. Like just
It's
the
like
way
a
just feels
Kubrick-
like they went to another world where it was like an alternate universe where Kubrick basically was president, and
It's where
aliens came and probed everyone.
It's an alternate universe where Kubrick wanted to make a slasher movie.
Right.
But it's not even a slasher movie. It's just fucking weird.
Yeah, it's not even remotely. It's more like THX. It feels most like THX 1138 than any other film I can think of.
Right, yeah.
It's
but
just
like
a weird fucking movie.
Little touches of other 80s movies like Firestarter or The Fury.
Right.
Things like that.
So that actually sounds like something I'd want to see. I don't know. I
forget what it's called.
I mean, just the name of that director is pretentious as hell. His name is what? Panos Cosmatos or something?
Yeah. Pretentious? I mean, that's his name, man. I don't know what you want from him.
Well, you can have a pretentious sounding name.
Okay, but it's not his fault.
I mean, if my name was Chadwick Von Merriweather, I'd be like, I want to punch that guy in the face. I'm like...
Von Merriweather.
So, wait, sorry, what was the title of this movie?
We're watching our first Nicolas Cage movie, and it's called The Trust.
The Trust, all right.
And I believe it's referring to...
I'm going to have to...
I want to show you...
Trust you.
I want to show you the poster...
Okay.
Or the DVD cover of this thing, because I have a digital copy.
Okay. Let's see it.
So we can't see it.
Mark is now bringing up his... Oh my god.
So the way I first heard of this movie...
So this is a new movie?
This is from maybe 2 years ago?
Because I actually feel like I've seen posters for this movie before. I haven't seen this one. This is a pretty terrible poster he's showing me, by the way. But...
Yeah, that's why I'm showing it to you. Because the way I heard about this movie, it was on Reddit. It was like the #1 post that day. And it was somebody showing off this poster complaining about how badly photoshopped it is. Nicolas Cage's head clearly does not belong to this body.
Yeah, it basically looks like they took like these...
Like the sharpness and the color doesn't match. It's just...
these two guys next to each other that basically look jacked. Like Nicolas Cage looks jacked.
Yeah. And I bet in real life he's more jacked than you would think he would be.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's not this jacked.
For a crazy person, yeah, I would say so. We can talk more about whether or not you think Nicolas Cage is actually crazy. You know, when after we've seen the movie, but
okay. But it's a cop movie.
I will say I have no expectations whatsoever for this movie, even
Great.
though I do feel
either.
like it's actually will be decent because I have seen. You know, I the only reason I recognize this poster or this movie is the fact that Elijah Wood is in it.
Yeah, and Elijah Wood has done a lot of these smaller movies in the last few years. I think getting all his Lord of the Rings money has given him
do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, he has freedom now. I think he has his own production.
He produces movies all the time.
Yeah, and I think he's doing a lot of horror movies and things like that.
I wonder if he produced this one.
I don't think so, but we'll see.
Right.
Maybe he just wanted to work with Nick Cage.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, let's roll it. The Trust.
Roll that fucking camera, Wolfie.
Kiss my ass.
Yeah.
Everybody up! Get up!
It's one. Said I need two.
That's all I have.
I'll flip you for it. This is full of cocaine.
Yeah, I know.
This needs to be submitted as evidence.
Yes, right. Absolutely. Sorry.
So, what do you want to do? You want me to rob a drug dealer for you?
Rob a drug dealer? I just want to put a tail on him. If it's a dead end, so be it.
Because whatever they're bringing here stays here.
Nothing goes out.
They do the drop-offs in the back, but where does it go once it's inside?
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
I haven't heard anything from your department about this. You just reached for my phone?
Yes, I did.
In a suspicious manner?
No, I wasn't, I swear.
That would suggest that you're here under the auspice of illegal activity.
I'll give you $100.
Okay.
All right. Someone built a safe in the back of a grocery store, and we found it.
Precisely.
How do we, get it out?
Hallo? Ja, hallo. Einen, der so bohrt?
Der Typ muss ein Bankräuber sein oder sowas.
Ja, voll cool.
Where'd you stash the van? Please don't be it. Please don't be it. Please don't be it. Something like this is worth doing if you can keep it quiet and simple.
The way you just said that right now, that's Anacle.
The vault door isn't that old. Messing with it runs the risk of the fail-safes. Unless we want to hire a professional safecracker.
Which we don't.
Which we don't.
It's called open it.
Are you sure?
Hello? What you're saying is we drill down through the floor of the apartment.
That's right.
Okay, you know the drill.
Can't do this. I don't know where we are right now.
We're in the heart of the American dream. Open it! Open it!
87 and a half minutes.
87 and I bet you any money the credits are exactly 3 minutes long.
Yeah, just enough to get it over the hump.
Exactly to 90 minutes, and they'll call it a day.
I just was listening to the Nerdist podcast where they were talking to Jason Blum. Yeah. And
I read something. I haven't listened to it, but I read that Chris Hardwick got a 3-picture deal out of that podcast.
Yeah, because he was saying, like, all these people are always telling me I should direct. And he's like, you should, and we're going to help you do it. But he was saying in that interview, because he does low-budget movies, and everything's relative, of course, but they've had a lot of movies where they were like 79 minutes and they had to have a long credit sequence to qualify as a feature film to get the distribution and stuff.
The Academy, I think the Academy is only 45 minutes or whatever, something like that. Like if you look up like what a feature-length film is, the only reason I know that is because when I did the Colorado road trip movie, I was like, well,
how much do I have to stretch this?
It's 68 minutes long. I mean, technically, it's a feature. There's a few different qualifications for being a feature. I didn't feel though like this movie didn't strike me as so short that I would have thought it was strange.
No.
Especially because most movies
but
that
under 90 minutes is still
indie films like this, where we probably had, I doubt they only had 17 days to do this. They probably had twice that. But
if they can get Elijah Wood and Nicolas Cage, that means they had a little bit of money.
Yeah,
those guys are not exactly taking home $20 million.
It was probably a month. Is how long it took to shoot those.
Mm-hmm.
If that.
They probably shot it all within like 3 blocks of the same area in Las Vegas.
Right. Yeah, it's I mean, obviously we're gonna go into spoiler country for this movie.
Spoilers be ahead.
I mean, I had no concept of what the movie would be. I think
based on the cover of the DVD that you saw, the poster. I mean, it looks like a couple of hardcore cops are gonna take down some bad guys.
Yeah, if you would have shown me that picture, I would have. I mean, you did. If you would have asked me like what I thought the movie would be, I would expect it to be. It looked like it was gonna end up being hard-boiled.
Yeah, something like that.
That's what I expected. Something where
they're all decked out in like SWAT gear and shit.
I did expect them to, based on the poster, clash against each other. Mm-hmm. And the movie's called Trust, which to me says everything about their trust in each other.
Yeah, the trust. Like at first glance, you might think, oh, and the tagline, "Bad cops make the best criminals."
Right.
You think it's about the trust that we put in them as police, but they pretty much clear up right away. These guys both hate their fucking jobs, and they come up with this heist plan because they stumble into some information and they're bored.
Right.
They can't think of anything better to do. They're like, well, maybe we'll get some money. Let's do this thing.
My question for you is, my reaction to the movie. It's not a negative one. Mm-hmm. It's not. Technically the movie felt like it was It was directed well. I don't know that the script was interesting enough.
No,
for me.
I mean, it is a pretty basic thing. The last minute twists of like, oh, was Nick Cage trying to frame him the whole time? Those questions felt like the only part of the movie that were stretched out. Like, let's just get on with it. This is not important. And for him to think that at that time doesn't make any sense, really. Like, he's got no clues that he's a patsy.
What about this movie excites you, or what'd you bring it for?
I guess it's because it's a movie about a couple of normal guys. Like, they're cops, but they basically have office jobs. Mm-hmm. And they kind of ask the same...
Yeah, because at least Elijah works in more of the
evidence collection.
Yeah, evidence collection. And, like, they
Cage
have
is
a
in the
huge
property
warehouse.
department.
And I feel like at the end of the movie, you learn... The movie is never about them at all. It's like, it's like the labyrinth of evidence after, say, the Ark of the Covenant's found and thrown in a huge warehouse.
All the stuff that they just went through ends up in a little box in this giant room.
And even though that is about Indiana Jones, this could just as easily just be about each piece of evidence. They could have a whole series. I wonder if this was pitched originally as like a TV series, like, each episode's a one-off of this piece of evidence.
It's called The Warehouse.
That, to me, excites me more than I think like, if we had known that maybe going into it, as opposed to finding out at the very end that's kind of where this movie's at.
Well, what interested me about the movie first was that it was a Nicolas Cage movie. That's why I watched it at all.
Right.
Just because I feel I have to keep up with the guy's career. But it brings up all the same problems and questions that if you and I were to try to pull off a heist, like, wait, there's somebody living in this apartment and we're going to have to tie them up? You can't just say, like, oh, we'll deal with that. Like, that's hard. Right. Tying somebody up is difficult. How are we going to do that? That's got to be part of the plan.
And I feel like line producers or people setting up a schedule for a movie are like, oh yeah, and this is when we shoot like the decapitation scene. We'll just do that in a couple hours. And like, I'm thinking,
no,
what?
But it kind of gets into the details of all they have to do. Like, Nick Cage has to call a German drill company to get the right equipment shipped over, and that's going to cost money. Where are they going to get that? And it just everything is a bigger problem than they want it to be. Sure. And it feels, even though that this thing gets pulled off in one night, that everything they do, they've put everything they have into this. Their whole lives are at stake here. Like, Nicolas Cage, I don't even know his name. His character says, "I'm all in."
Right.
Like, are you all in too? Because I'm all in.
And I guess that's what I wanted. I was left wanting to be more. I wanted more of the details, because like when it was clear that Nicolas Cage is kind of doing his own thing, I was thinking back. I'm like, did we hear that he was going to do this, or is this something he's kind of doing on his own? Mm-hmm. Like when he shoots.
When he gets the guns.
He gets the guns. He shoots the guy in the head.
Yeah.
Nonchalantly, and you're like, oh. And Nicolas Cage has something going on, and he's hiding that, obviously, from Elijah Wood.
Right, and that is another thing about the script I liked, is that even though I think all the questioning at the end doesn't make a lot of sense, there are enough clues for the audience that he is kind of unhinged. Like, he's just trying to go get some guns from a, arms dealer on the street, and then when he blows him away, you're kind of like, wow, this guy is really willing to do anything.
Yeah. To
get this, whatever is in the vault.
Yeah. And that was the things I appreciated about the movie were that you did not necessarily know where it was going to go. And to be honest, just from the setup and the fact that they didn't know what was inside of this vault, they really didn't expect it to be something as simple as a bunch of diamonds.
I was kind of disappointed by that.
I half expected it. Just from the setup and the way the movie's a little quirky. It's not like the whole first scene, I think, actually was wrong for the movie.
What was the first scene?
It was, not the sex scene at the very beginning.
Oh.
After that. Elijah Wood wakes
at the crime
up.
Scene.
He's having sex. He goes to the crime scene. It's a little quirky. There's a guy hiding in a closet at the crime scene, and he busts out, and everybody's just like, Elijah Wood starts laughing.
Like, these unrelated conversations outside while this guy's jumping from the second story window.
Elijah
and
Wood
noticing.
starts laughing when the guy busts out of a closet and punches another cop in the face. Like, it's completely unrealistic.
He was high.
So
on the job.
In that sense, that for me killed all the tension from that point on. it took a long time to get the tension back in the movie. Like, and it wasn't really. I didn't even have tension really at the end, towards the end of the movie, and I felt like for a movie like this, where it should be built around the tension and make you worry. It suffers from a lot of things, a lot of problems that indie films suffer from, which is a lack of understanding how to craft tension.
Well, I think the movie at the halfway point, that's about when Cage blows away the gun guy. In the first half of the movie, it's really funny. Cage is cracking jokes, like really bad dad-style jokes. And there's this kind of like comedic banter between the two of them. And then when you see what he's capable of, that's when I feel the tension
stakes go up,
start to come back.
Sure.
And it continually is ratcheted up. We got a security guard stopping in. They have to lie to him while Cage points a gun at him through the window in case he doesn't believe.
Right. Well, Nicolas Cage is always been a quirky guy who's, could snap at any moment.
You were wondering, how normal is he in real life?
Yeah, I asked Mark in the middle of the movie, I was like, how normal do you think Nicolas Cage actually is?
I bet from day to day, he puts his pants on one leg at a time like anybody else. But he's got some interesting friends.
And how many movies has he been in that have starred in Vegas?
I don't know.
We got Leaving Las Vegas. We got
Con Air.
Con Air.
Well, I guess they're at the Vegas airport. Yeah.
In the desert. That's close enough.
Right.
This. I mean, it seems like I'm sure there's plenty more. Didn't he play Elvis at some point too?
Oh yeah, that was shit. What is the name of that one? It was
there's Wild at Heart. Was that
in Vegas? I don't think it was.
Maybe not.
I think he's made more movies in New Orleans than Las Vegas.
Maybe.
Just because that's where they make a lot of cheap movies, and he's been in a lot of cheap movies.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage is one of those guys. I think of Nicolas Cage, and I feel like he's... I don't know if he's... Do you think he's choosing the films now, or do you think he's just taking paychecks?
I think it's kind of 50-50. I think like all the dumb action movies. I bet even this movie, it's not an action movie, but it's on the same scale.
Yeah.
I bet this was a job for him. But I think he was having as much fun as he could while still making the movie.
Yeah.
I have a feeling a lot of his lines were improvised. A lot of the dumb jokes. The massaging of Elijah Wood's shoulder at the bar.
He's probably one of those guys that at this point, like, he probably only feels like a normal person when he's on set. You know?
Maybe that's his
because it's
whole
like
life.
I mean, film sets are so different in the sense, like, you know, normally he wouldn't go out and meet like normal people, I guess. You know, without being Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
He'd be, you know, so overwhelmed by a celebrity. But on a film set, you still have that, but you have time to get over that. You have time to build actual friendships and whatnot. I don't know at this point whether or not an actor would just show up and be like, I'm going to my trailer and you guys fuck off and die.
I don't think he would be quite that bad. But he does seem like as weird as a normal person can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think he's into some pretty strange philosophy stuff. Like the way Jim Carrey has been talking about, like,
I haven't even
you know, one day we're all going to die. None of this will matter. So I'm not going to do your interview in a normal fashion.
When he walks around that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've only seen... I actually haven't even looked into that really, but it sounds like he's...
I think...
some people, I think, eventually, the brain does break at some point.
I don't think it's broken
I mean, it doesn't break, but you can only... I feel like eventually it's a spiral where eventually you get so much information jammed into a brain, and people always seem to kind of come out with one conclusion of it sometimes. Like, not always. You know, not everyone goes crazy, obviously, when they get old.
Sure.
But I feel like when you've had so much success and you're at the top of the pyramid, you kind of wonder... You gotta wonder what else is there.
Well, I think Jim Carrey's whole thing has been like, I'm speaking as Jim now.
Good.
I had very little to do with my success. Like, I made some jokes and I got very lucky. and anything could have gone differently at any time, and somebody else could be in my shoes. So he believes sort of trying to appreciate like what the universe has given him, but also acknowledge that he didn't earn it. Like, it has nothing to do with him. He's just a collection of atoms kind of speeding through space.
I think that's complete and total bullshit. Like, I understand what he's trying to say, but it's like, dude, you still got up, at early ass in the morning to go to such and such an audition to get such and such a role. And because of your upbringing, you were shaped into this particular person. It was fucking funny as hell.
I don't think he had to audition for anything in his life. I think he did stand-up for a long time, made some funny faces, ended up on In Living Color.
Will you be in this movie?
Yeah. And he did Earth Girls Are Easy. And he's been on that trajectory ever since. Earth Girls Are Easy really set him off.
I guess if he wants to say that he didn't earn anything.
I'm not quoting the guy, but
I'm sure there's a lot that he has not earned. I'm sure that people... of course, A-list celebrities don't necessarily have to look for movies anymore. People come to them, and they have the ability to just say yes or no. Mm-hmm. And usually they don't even do that. They just hear someone else say, am I doing this movie? And the agent says, yes, you are. Like, we've signed you up because that's what you've hired us for.
Yeah. And you're also sucking off Weinstein. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you which one.
Jesus. And you are so... Yeah, I don't know. We're totally beside the point on this. I feel like he probably had fun. I feel like actors of Nicolas Cage's level probably have fun when they're hanging out with somebody like Elijah Wood, who, even though there's a vast age difference, Elijah Wood's been around for a long fucking time.
Mm-hmm. And since he was 8.
There's a mutual respect there. And also, you have one of the quote-unquote greatest comedy actors of all time. A lot of people would disagree. Jerry Lewis is in this movie.
In like 2 scenes, unfortunately.
2 scenes. Jerry Lewis.
He answers the door, and then he's at the dinner table.
And I was like, why the fuck is Jerry Lewis in this movie? Like,
yeah.
What about...
I don't even know why they tried to
get him. Did he know
he
was going to die, and he suddenly just did a few movies? Because I know he did this, and I know he did another one of probably the same year, where he and Dean Stockwell are in a movie together. Mm. And I looked at it, and I was like, this looks like someone took a mini DV camera and set the microphone on the opposite side of the room and made a film.
That bad, huh?
That from the trailer I saw, that's what it felt like.
Yeah, I feel like in this case, the producer probably went, "Hey, we need somebody to play the old guy. Yeah, I want to reach out to Jerry Lewis. His agent's a friend of mine."
Well, even the other guy, the guy who was playing the Russian roulette.
Yeah, Ethan. What's his name?
I always want to call him Ethan Embry, but it's not Ethan Embry.
Definitely not him.
Ethan Suplee. That sounds right.
If that's not right, you're in the right.
The sailboat guy from Mallrats. Wow, I just totally broke you.
Trying to think back to Mallrats.
Mallrats, when he's sitting he's looking at one of those designs, the illusions.
Oh, one of those.
The whole movie, and he's staring at it, and he can't see it. And then some little kid walks up and goes, "Huh, it's a sailboat." He's like, he just breaks. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
and he's also he's like extremely racist in American History X, singing the racist song in the car in the van.
Wasn't he also in A Butterfly Effect?
I never saw it, but probably.
Okay,
sounds about right. But he's only in 2 or 3 scenes.
Yeah, at least he has something to do.
Yeah,
in those scenes.
I guess
pivotal role.
I feel like there's enough roles out there for actors even of his stature to be able to lead a film. I guess that just comes down to energy, how much energy an actor wants to put into getting a project together for themselves. Mm-hmm. And most actors don't want to do that, or they don't know how, which I totally understand. I think actors are brought up and thinking that they need to be cast by someone else. But then there's a few that take it upon themselves to craft their own projects. And that's why I was wondering earlier whether or not Elijah Wood is the one who put this together, because he's done that so frequently lately. And he's got so many films being developed by his own company that why would he even bother jumping out and doing other people's films anymore? Unless this was his.
I really think it was probably a chance to work with Nicolas Cage.
No.
Because why not? He's got all that LOTR money. There's no reason not to.
He's got a lot of it. Which is funny because I don't think of him. You don't think of him as a big spender. He probably ends up spending more than most actors because he is making films. And choosing projects and probably putting a decent amount into producing films. Well, maybe he may not even do that anymore. Maybe it's on self-sufficient thing. If it's making money, then my question is Elijah Wood and his company, is their model basically just set to be small and not expand outside of itself? Like, obviously they're trying to make
sounds
good.
Really close to Blumhouse, actually.
Yeah, and I feel like weren't they working together at some point? Maybe not. But it makes me wonder though if they have some sort of plan in place to just focus on making the movie and releasing it. Because I don't recall any of these movies ever going through like the Sundance circuit or anything like that.
The only advertising for the trust I saw online.
It's like The Asylum, where they have a built-in system and they make movies. I did
The
hear
Asylum,
something.
by the way, are the people who made
Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus.
Or Shark Tornado, whatever the fuck that was.
Sharknado.
Sharknado.
I'd rather see Shark Tornado.
I mean, that's really the same thing.
Maybe that's the spoof of Sharknado.
We're going to make a series version of Sharknado.
Shark Hurricane. Shark Dust Devil. Yeah, I would not watch that.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
What do you...
I really can't believe that you didn't think the tension was ramping up very much at the end. As soon as they get to the apartment, they're expecting one guy to be there. There's actually two people there, so things are off on the wrong track. First thing, they start...
I think maybe my problem with it was that I just didn't... It was a problem with me...
Yeah, it was.
It was a problem. I mean, we always have this problem with me, right? No, it was a problem with me having any... I don't know anything about these guys. You know, there was no reason for me to care about what they were doing.
The only things we know about Elijah Wood is that he is or was married because he's got a wedding ring.
Yeah, that was the only thing I saw that I was like, oh.
And at the beginning, he's having sex with a hooker.
Right.
And it looks like he's got a roommate on the couch.
Right.
And I noticed there was a TV missing from the bracket on the wall. Like there was a widescreen TV holder, but no TV on it. So it looks like things have not been going well for him, and he's got a box of his wife's old clothes that he uses to pick up cat shit on the floor.
So he's been thrown out. So
he's okay. That makes a lot more sense. But wait, why? If he's been thrown out, why did he take a box of her clothes?
Well, maybe she moved out.
I think she moved out. He had to get roommates, and he doesn't like the cat.
Yeah.
So things have not been going well for him, and he momentarily, he's about to pay the hooker $50 and then takes $10 back, and then puts it back down. That's sort of a save the cat moment. Like, he wants to save his money, but he's like, she did a good job. I'm gonna give her the full 50.
Yeah, right. Yeah, who would you say we have more empathy towards, him or?
Definitely him, because we literally know nothing about Cage's home life.
At least we've met his dad.
We met his dad. That's it.
Who
was also a cop.
Who just seemed like a little out of it.
Yeah, like he's always saying, like, talking about the cops.
I thought for sure that the security guy was going to come back.
Yeah, me too. That was definitely a missed opportunity. But it could have been because it's a low budget movie. Maybe they're like, we got to cut this scene. Yeah, like, this doesn't move anything forward. I
mean, number one, I thought that was one of those classic cases of. I mean, I guess they got me because I was like, well, I recognize that actor, so he'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you think, oh, I know that guy, like Ethan.
Yeah,
Suplee.
And that guy was Idris Elba.
Right. Yeah.
No, he wasn't Idris Elba.
No, you're racist.
I'm being super racist. But like, even when they get in there and they're drilling, the drill breaks down.
Yeah.
A belt in it snaps. They have to keep going somehow, so they kind of jam the drill bit into place. And get a sledgehammer. Here, hold this in place while I hammer through the last little bit. But
what's the tension? There's
What's
there's no set timeline. We haven't determined a timeline for how fast they
Well, I think it's
out.
understood that they have to be out by morning.
But they're still fucking there in the morning. And
Well, they're leaving in the
he
morning.
even takes her out. That was ballsy, by the way. Elijah Wood taking her out of the house
with a hood on her.
A hood over her head and
Yeah.
her hands tied up, and there's clearly buildings around. Like,
Yeah. Looks
they
like not
are-
a great neighborhood.
it looks like an industrial
people don't
neighborhood.
live.
But like,
It's the weekend. I
Still.
don't know. But the thing I was going to talk about was Elijah Wood's holding the drill bit into place while Nick Cage is about to swing with the sledgehammer. He's like, whoa, wait, hold on a second. Whoa, oh, would you rather I hold it? And then we do a cut, and he's holding it, and they go ahead. Even just that tension of somebody getting their hands in the path of a sledgehammer, that's enough, like,
I guess
primal tension.
I mean, I guess you still wonder. I don't know. It was.
It could have been better. I'm not saying it's perfect. Don't.
Yeah, I'm not
get me
saying.
wrong.
And like I said, I feel like there's definitely a directing craft there. It's just my problem is like really the script.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be curious to see what these brothers go off and do because it looked like two brothers directed.
Yeah, brothers. Yeah.
And
This is one of those movies, though. The photography wasn't great. Like, I love all the Las Vegas locales, but I thought this was one of those things where if it's not out of focus, it's not a movie.
I half expected when they went downstairs, not to be totally sidetracked from your out of focus thing, because I agree.
Yeah.
A lot of
Shallow
movies are
depth of
like
field.
that, shallow depth of field. But I half expect. I got some. Suddenly, I was like, "Are we watching like Cube Part 5 when they go into the
Yeah, it
into
looks
the
like a
vault,
spaceship
and
or
it like
something.
lights up and it's like luminescent walls, and
I
like
wonder, how did they do that? I mean, it looked like the light was coming from inside there, but it wasn't coming from inside the little
no, I mean
doors.
they literally like the whole wall and everything was built out of
Yeah.
panels that just lit up, just a white room, and it was a little surprising and clearly.
Like, it's a
guy who
totally
was
different
living above
aesthetic
it.
from the rest of the movie. Everything in there was perfectly straight and smooth.
And that was when the movie started to get interesting to me. Like,
You think that should have come earlier? That should have been
Well,
like the turn, really?
I would have. I mean, yeah, I'm more interested in the movie from. I would have loved to have seen this movie from them getting the van, showing up at the house, going in, not knowing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. And kind of like
Gradually repeat,
and we catch up on the story
we're
from there.
catching up on the story, and then the majority of the movie is them
After they've got the
after
diamonds.
they've got the diamonds or
whatever.
whatever. I mean, obviously they end up just killing each other. Spoiler.
Oh, goddamn. Well, we said spoilers, you know.
Who's gonna watch this movie?
I hope some people
where's
do.
this
I hope
movie?
people watch it and enjoy it. I think it's a pretty good movie.
Well, now that I've ruined it for them,
It's it's probably on fucking Amazon.
it's probably true. Everything.
It's not on
I mean,
Netflix, though.
If it's the kind of movie we're talking about where they make it just to make it, I'm sure it's on every single
Yeah.
like.
You can rent it for
probably is
$2
not
on Vudu,
Netflix.
okay?
Probably not on Netflix, but yeah, iTunes and everything else.
I say it's worth $2. At
Well,
least.
I would agree with that. This feels like more of a mid 2000s indie film for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I guess I'm also a sucker for a good heist movie.
yeah, I'm
a sucker for a bad heist movie.
I'm racking my brain trying to think like what other kind of movies are like this one.
Mm-hmm. Where it's like
can't really think of any. I don't
obviously
know that
Ocean's
I've ever really...
11. It's in Vegas and it's a heist thing, but that's like a big.
I was gonna say
ensemble cast.
those movies to me don't feel like they're actually shot in Vegas because they're at all the major casinos, which obviously that's Vegas. But I
which
mean,
look like a shopping mall.
I'm talking like the Vegas that people live in. Which
Mm-hmm.
this feels like.
Yeah.
This feels like the outskirts.
Fremont Street. That's what I couldn't think of before.
The suburban areas where, if you know somebody who lives in Vegas, that's where you go stay with them somewhere usually.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where this movie kind of lived.
Not the Disneyland of
The old
strip.
strip, Fremont.
Yeah.
And just the outskirts and I was thinking that was kind of unique because I don't remember the last time I saw a movie outside of like maybe Casino that really got into the outskirts of Vegas.
Yeah, I can't think of any.
Very bad things, maybe. Did that go out there? I don't know.
Well, now we can scratch this one off the list.
If I had to grade it, I would say 5.5 or 6.
Let's just go with 6.
6 just because I've ragged on so many movies now.
Yeah.
I don't mean to hate movies. I love movies.
No, but we're here
I
to
think every movie has
be
its
critics,
moment.
you know? We can't just love everything we ever see. Only morons do that.
It's true.
Transformers 3, etc.
Yeah. Well, this is your movie. Do you have any parting thoughts?
No, I think we covered everything I wanted to cover.
Yeah? All right.
Ethan Suplee, is that his name?
I'm pretty sure that's it.
I guess that sounds right.
Who starred with... who's the other actress from Star Trek Voyager who's kind of gone off the deep end?
Oh, the Kes.
Kes.
I can't remember her name
The
now.
character's name is Kes. Yeah, I don't remember... She was in, like... Well, she was in Voyager, obviously. She was in American History X. I feel like she's in one other really good movie.
Oh, it's fucking... We did a thing for it. SLC Punk.
SLC Punk.
I was going to say Salt Lake City Punk.
So she was in, like, these 2 great classic movies, and then suddenly...
Crazy.
Now she's getting naked in front of children, from what I read, and
Now she's a Trump voter.
She looks like someone who would be interviewed in Mindhunter.
She looks like Florida woman.
She is Florida.
Hope she lives in Florida.
Anyway. Well, I guess that's about it, huh?
Yeah, I think so. God, I had another thought, but I can't think of it now.
Well,
fuck me.
Fuck you.